Welcome in to the Jordy Culotta Show live here this Monday morning from the UDL, presented by Go Chevrolet, online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet, couple of locations, LaPlace, Louisiana, over in Baton Rouge on Florida and Sherwood Forest. Go Express Auto Sales. Good Monday morning to everybody. Jack is here.
First day of school.
Lloyd is here. First day of school.
Katie's going to drive me to school after.
Seriously?
No.
I was about to say the carpool queen.
Yeah.
Who's carpooling this morning.
She's very popular at the carpool line. She's very cool. We talked about that when she came in the other day. She has a new car. This black Range Rover, black on black.
She got a new
black
car?
Black tent, black rims. And I was like, Katie, do your kids know that you're actually like kind of cool? You have Air Force Ones on. I'm sure the fathers in the carpool line are like, who's that? Like, I would imagine that she's pretty popular. No wonder she likes the carpool.
For sure.
A couple bats in the eyes, you know? I get it.
Have a good Monday.
Have a great Monday.
Anonymous name to the Jordy Culotta Show. The Shikari Richardson race prediction last week was similar to that Tebow prediction. LOL, good morning, and go Tigers. Thank you, anonymous name.
It might be cold.
Possibly worse than the Tebow prediction, as we were all in on Tebow making the 53 and leading the league in jersey sales. He was cut on the first wave of thrashes in the NFL.
Like the first cut.
And then Shikari Richardson, the absolute first cut. And then Shikari Richardson, who was somehow put together a race with the top 3 medalists from the Olympics, finished 9th, and a bad 9th in the 100-meter dash, so bad that she walked away from the 200.
That's what I was going to say. That she
still
withdrew,
talking
but
trash.
then talking shit right after. I like that.
I liked it because it's like if I'm a Nike marketer, I'd be like, yeah, she could push some products out.
No
She's
doubt.
cussing.
Well, I think that's who she was speaking to more than anybody, was the advertiser. Like, hey, don't give up on me.
First race back.
Yeah.
You know.
Not the good look. I mean, when I saw that, I was like,
Maybe weed makes her faster.
is she in the back? That's not her in the back. Yeah, it can't be her in last place. But yes, the Culotta Show is very cold right now.
Unless you're talking to me about preseason football, boys. another 3-1 weekend.
Who'd you take? Baltimore.
Who did I take?
Baltimore is
Baltimore?
19-0 in the
Unbelievable.
preseason. That is amazing.
They won again?
They won again. I mean,
Do you keep
19 straight wins at anything. I don't care what you're playing, at what level, whatever. I mean, that is
it's
unbelievable.
NFL preseason. I mean, you would just think that something's not going to go your way, right?
And you have to realize, like, they only play, previous to this year, they play 4 preseason games, so they're winning, like, the streak dates back to, like, 2013 or something crazy like that.
Was it the second or third game? The starters don't even play.
They're not even, there's no reason to win this many in a row. Like, it's almost impossible.
It
Do they
really
know
is.
about this?
They have to know
They have
at this
to.
point. They want to
They
get
have
that big 2-0.
Yeah. And then you want to lose, because you want to lose this story,
Right.
right? Like, I don't want to be.
Next year.
I don't want to be this.
You know, I don't want to be Trace McSorley, the starter for the Ravens, and I'm actually the 3rd-string quarterback. Like, a lot of pressure going into this preseason game for no reason.
Preseason game number 2 for the Saints tonight. We will talk about that with Mike Triplett from ESPN.com. Mike covers the Saints. Saints are hosting the number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jacksonville Jaguars inside of Caesars Palace Superdome. Get our first look at the dome after some construction. Peyton was talking a little bit of the walkthroughs that they were going through and some of the difference and just what it looks like.
Suites are awesome.
Suites are on the field. No more of the team running across the field to come out. It's just going to be different in the way that it kind of functions. So that'll be interesting to see tonight.
Wait, what do you mean?
The
Team entrance.
Like the team entrance, I don't think that you remember how they used to have to cross in front of the Saints? Like they would come out, like the Saints would come out of the tunnel underneath the end zone, and the opposing team would like come out on the sideline.
Well, yeah,
on the side.
That's what caused, or was some of the impetus behind like the Miami and LSU fracas back in the day. I know it was in the the Peach Bowl?
Yeah, that was in Atlanta.
But that was the same thing. They had to use the same tunnel to get into, so there was like no avoiding each other at that point. So the Saints did that too. I didn't know that.
I don't think that they all went in the same tunnel. I think they came out on the same end of the field.
Oh, okay. That's enough to cause a fight.
Could, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Peyton was just talking about how they have diverted that traffic, and now they've It's just going to be different in the way that
It wouldn't be a
looks.
big deal. It's just football guys are weird, and if you mess
Yes.
with anything, they lose their marbles.
Well, not only that, but do you know how many stories that like we don't hear about that probably happened because of that? That things that they diffused before.
they needed to
like
change that.
they probably were like, this is a big deal behind the scenes. Like we have to stop running into each other like this.
So we will talk to Mike Triplett about some of the storylines for the New Orleans Saints tonight versus the Jaguars in preseason game number 2. We'll also talk to Derek Stingley Sr. as he is back from Chicago. Sting Sr. has not seen any of the preseason games for LSU, which the second was over the weekend on Saturday. Got a little bit of information that we'll talk about coming up here, but we'll talk to Stingley Sr. about getting prepared. LSU under 2 weeks away from kickoff now here as UCLA is in game week. UCLA takes on Hawaii on Saturday. We will begin to preview, obviously, UCLA and LSU. We will also dive into UCLA at some point this week and just take a look at the Bruins and start to get familiar with LSU's first opponent. UCLA will play this weekend versus Hawaii, so there is football to watch. I mean, now you've got football until the 2022
National championship
year, man. I mean, you've got college football every single weekend here coming up on Saturdays that begin this weekend. So we will talk all about that coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll also get to the James Craig story that we didn't touch on last week. Craig is suing LSU for breach of contract. LSU said that Craig admitted to recruiting violations and fired him for calls. According to Craig's most recent contract with LSU, if he's terminated by LSU without cause, then the university must pay him the total remaining base salary and supplemental compensation. Craig claims in his lawsuits, which is seeking damages, that the NCAA never issued a ruling or decision that he committed a level 1 or level 2 violation and repeated a level 3 or level 4 violation of NCAA bylaws, such that the employment agreement could provide for a cause justification for LSU to terminate him. So there is this happening with LSU. If you're LSU, you would think that they just don't want any type of other smoke around their program and probably just cut the check at some point and just move Craig along the way.
How much do you think he was making? 500 to 800,000?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around 700. I think it was somewhere around the 700 range.
That's someone to write it off.
But I mean, look,
these are things that you can write off and nobody really.
That's a lot of money.
It is, but
it's a lot of money.
It's a TAF now.
But for LSU and
Right.
the situation they're in, you cut the check and you move on. I mean, you don't want to get caught up in litigation. You don't want anything else going to a courtroom. And really, from LSU's standpoint, you don't want to sit down and have to answer a lot of the questions that Craig's lawyer is probably going to bring in and open up for question. I mean, I would just think that if this is a case centered around violations and possible cheating, and Craig's camp is trying to prove that no violation had occurred, well, then depositions on the LSU coaching staff under oath is not what you want, right? I mean, like, I would imagine that Craig's lawyer's probably going to dive in to the LSU coaching staff and see who else has made some of the same text messages, phone calls, or whatever the violations may be.
Exactly right.
That Craig, and everybody's going to be like, I'm pleading the fifth here.
That'd be your first question if you're a lawyer. What's your definition of a violation? Like,
Exactly.
oh, never mind, just pay him.
No, we're
Okay,
good.
that's enough.
Exactly. So if you're Craig, I think that he gets paid here. Look, I mean,
It's a great money grab.
well, I
Guy
mean,
keeps falling forward.
it's yeah. I mean, he probably was over his skis a little bit with the job, but on the way out, I think that he'll probably collect this check just because LSU, in my opinion, is I mean, they're in. They don't want any more spotlight. They don't want any more attention.
Not any of this.
All right, so we will talk to Mike Triplett. We will talk to Derek Stingley Sr., which, by the way, check out the new swag with the Stingley 7 in the UDL. Looks great. Shout
I
out
like
to
the
the
yellow
Stingleys.
background. That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks good. That mat looks good. Shout out to the
Is that your idea?
the Darrell brothers.
Okay.
Over there on Perkins Road, the great framers here in Baton Rouge. So we'll talk to those two guys. Obviously, the Saints play their preseason game number 2 tonight. We will talk about Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill and what that's going to look like as far as the competition goes with Mike Triplett coming up here at 8:15. You got any questions about tonight's game with the New Orleans Saints? You want something asked specifically to Mike Triplett? Hop inside of the bunker. Hop inside of the chat apps. If you're watching on JordyCulottaShow.com. Before we dive into it, shout out to Majestic Coffee. Our coffee daily is brought to us by Majestic, locally brewed down here in South Louisiana. You can find them online at DeliciousSips.com. We just got stocked up on our True Blue water. We got a couple of fresh 5-gallon drums over here at the UDL, so we'll be set up for the next couple of weeks as far as the water goes. If you want to be on the route today, jump online to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. All of our phone guests today, and all of them will be via the phone line. Stingley Sr. coming up here at 8 a.m. and Mike Triplett coming up at 8:15. Compliments of Metropolitan Health Group, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, Charles Harvey and Jason Ramazan. And then, of course, our official spice is Papa Earl's here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Don't forget, you can pick up Papa Earl's. 30% less sodium than the competition at all of the local spots like Rouse's, High Neighbors, and coming soon to A-Bear Specialty Meats. LSU scrimmage number 2, preseason game number 2, as they like to call it. Derek Stingley still not on the field. It looked like Eli Ricks was out there.
Garrett Nussmeier, greatest quarterback of all time.
I don't know how to buy into these scrimmage numbers.
I know, but it's the reps and who they're going against, second team.
I know, but it's bizarre to undercut your starting quarterback like that with these. Like, he threw for 124 yards, and then you have the other guy. Like, there was no
320, right?
Controversy between Nussmeier and Max Johnson, but then 2 weeks in, when you put out that Nussmeier's thrown for
what was that word?
I say it like that every time.
Okay.
Controversy.
Okay.
How did you say
controversy.
It?
Wow.
But it shook you.
Yeah. I just.
But if you have
reverse, go back.
If you have the controversy between Nussmeier and Max Johnson that is essentially made off of stats that nobody's really seen, like, there's no reason to do that, right? You made it seem like he's thrown for 1,000 yards in 2 games.
I don't understand why. I think maybe they're trying to
make it seem like it's okay that he's the backup,
or that yes, they have confidence in him, that he is very much succeeding as the backup. They want to show that if Johnson does go down, that they're comfortable in going to Nussmeier. So you can give the statement 4 or 5 weeks from now if Nussmeier's got to play. Hey, if you remember back in fall camp, he was dicing them up.
All the confidence in the world.
He was throwing for 300 yards a week in these preseason games. That's right. But it does create this sense of, wow. I mean, these numbers are incredible, man. I mean, when you look at Nussmeier compared to Johnson, and I'm with Jack, I definitely think it's the level of competition that, Nussmeier's going versus the 3 and the 4s.
Right.
Even some of the 2s out there are the 3 and the 4s with the guys that are missing right now. And Johnson is going up against this defense. Number one, this first team defense that has seemingly been spectacular. I mean, Jay Ward led the defense on Saturday with 8 tackles. Mason Smith had 3 sacks. Xavier Carter, who's a new name, has a pair of sacks, who Ed Ogeron said in a post-scrimmage press conference that Carter reminds him of a young Arden Key, which, Key was unblockable his sophomore year.
Whoa.
That's
what I mean?
Whoa. Okay.
So,
God.
They got a bunch of cats out there on the defense that are flying around right now. I mean, that defense, again, is coming out of preseason game number 2 with a lot of people saying that the offense have made strides in between preseason game 1 and 2, yet the defense, when they're on, they're locked in. I mean, Ojulari, Gay, Andre Anthony, I mean, these guys in the interior, they're disrupting a lot of stuff. I mean, there's not a lot of things that you can get accomplished if you're playing at full speed versus these guys when you're talking about the offense versus the defense. So Johnson's numbers compared to Nussmeier's numbers, and how much stock do you really put in to scrimmage numbers? If you recall, I mean, we always used to talk about the similarities of the week-in, week-out scrimmage numbers that you would get in covering LSU, especially when like Les Miles was here. I mean, it was like very rounded numbers where it was like
for 250,
10-50,
threw for
yes.
250.
So I don't know how much publicly Now, look, Ed Orgeron is much more transparent, much more open, much more honest as a head coach than not only than Les Miles, than 98% of his peers. He goes very much in depth and gives you honest reactions. So maybe those numbers are real, but I don't buy into them that like there's this growing quarterback competition. I think more than anything else, what they're trying to sell is the confidence to either the fan base or probably he's talking to his team and speaking to his team through the press, because he knows a lot of those guys will see that and say, "Hey, coach is talking us up." I mean,
we good.
Yeah, it will be. We'll be fun.
I understand that part of it, but if you're going to do that, then you also need to inflate these Max Johnson numbers, because I don't care how much. Like, I understand like wanting to pump Nussmeier up with the 300 yards, but also if you're going to do that, you can't have Max Johnson throwing for 124 and a touchdown. Like, let's get those numbers up a little bit also. Can can we make it like 210 yards and then to 300, because the 120 is just
big difference.
It's a cause for concern when you see 300 versus 100. It makes people create a controversy in their mind whether there wasn't one to begin with. Because you see the disparaging numbers, and it's hard to not think, well, shit, is Nussmeier better?
No,
I know he's not, but I'm just saying the numbers are so far apart. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Could just be a practice player.
Let me officially get to the numbers.
308.
Yeah.
And 2 touchdowns.
Do you have
32 times?
Do you have both numbers in front of you?
No.
Both stats. Let me pull up the stats, Jack. If you want to pull those up, if you can, from Saturday, as Orgeron was handing them out after the game. But again, some of the things that we heard from Saturday's scrimmage coming out of it was that the defense again was dominant during times out there. One of the names that popped off, and if you saw some of the video highlights that sprung out of LSU's game on Saturday, was Devonta Lee. Devonta Lee making plays, or at least making one play on the video that jumped out, and then Ed Orgeron came out and said that Lee had 5 grabs, 85 yards, which included that great catch on the sideline. And Lee is a name that you always hear about, and if you go out there and watch LSU practice, or if you've seen LSU go through some of their drills, a lot of people come away asking, who is that?
He was the highest rated wide receiver in this class, right?
In his recruiting class?
In this current recruiting class, right?
No. Devonta Lee is a guy out of Amite, who's a veteran, who's been here for a couple of years and has bounced around positions.
Jacoby Stevens' role.
Absolutely.
Where they moved him to linebacker.
I mean, they've moved him from linebacker to tight end to wide receiver. I mean, they've moved him everywhere, and physically he is very gifted. I mean, just extremely athletic and strong, and very skilled and talented. But it's just been a challenge for this coaching staff to find a spot for him, and maybe this is a chance for him at receiver to get on the field, because for as much as we've talked about Kayshon Boutte and a lot of these freshman wide receivers, which by the way, Malik Neighbors had 4 grabs, 79 yards, and a big touchdown on Saturday. And talking to some of the people that were inside there and had a chance to watch, Neighbors very impressive in his time here early on, and looks like one of the freshmen that's going to pop here. Deion Smith had a couple of grabs and a score too. I think he had 3 catches for just under 70 yards, and he scored a touchdown. So these freshman wide receivers continue to go through and make plays. But Devonta Lee is somebody, if he can be comfortable, if he can find his spot, if he can get on the field, then he's going to make plays. And I think Saturday you saw just a little glimpse of that, at least from LSU's coaching staff standpoint. A lot of people raving about the camp that Lee is having, and then obviously you put him on the field for a scrimmage, and he's making a couple of plays. So he may be a name with the coaching staff and the new guys that could shake out and get on the field and find some quality reps and some good reps out there, because he's been a guy that's been in the program that people have been very curious about, of just where he fits in. He does fit in. but where does he fit in specifically? And hopefully wide receiver at this point in his career is a spot.
It's a testament kind of to what these freshmen are doing, to where you almost forget, or even LSU's recruiting ability, to where you forget about a Devontae Lee. Like, I've been trying to almost put my finger on him since he was at LSU. Like, what are they going to do with him? Because he was a big get for LSU.
It was huge.
It was huge. Like, it was a battle. And then you just kind of see him fade into the background. You wonder, all right, where does he fit in? It's one of those people that are almost too athletic to put into position because we can do everything. But then you just have to find a role for him at some point. Like, he could play defense, he could play offense, he could play safety, he could play linebacker, no, he could play receiver. It's like, just pick one spot for him and let the guy kind of grow into the role. But I was thrilled to see that to see his name back up in the news.
Yeah. No,
It's
me
good
too.
for him.
No, I agree. And I think, it's just, you're right. I mean, you feel great for the player because, like you said, he was a big-time recruit. That was the same year and same class that Ismail Sopsher was on A-Meet squad. And, for better or for worse, Sopsher now at USC in Southern California.
Is he really?
Transferred out of Alabama's program. If you remember, that was such a huge recruiting battle between LSU and Alabama, and it was a big one for Ed Ogeron because it was kind of his first full recruiting cycle as the head coach, and he really wanted to make a splash, especially inside the state. And Sopsher was, one of the dominant names in recruiting and one of the premier names in the state at A-Meet, a spot where LSU was really struggling to pull players and prospects out of. And, you went to the state championship game that season where A-Meet won, and Devonta Lee was the best player on the field, and it wasn't even close. It was he was doing everything.
He was playing both ways.
He was doing, and he was making big plays on both sides of the ball. Now, since then, the LSU gets the commitment, gets the signature, and that was a big win for LSU to go into A-Meet and to be able to get Lee. And now for him to get on the field and start making plays would not only be great for him, and it would be, obviously fantastic for him, the player. It would be just as it would be just as big for LSU on the recruiting trail to go back into A-Meet and be able to sell at the high school of Devonta Lee coming to LSU, making his way, finding his time, but ultimately finding a spot at wide receiver, fitting in and becoming a player. Because I think that could really be beneficial to LSU in the recruiting grounds as well. Another name from Saturday and a performance that we probably take for granted and that we probably don't respect as much as we should is that of Cade York, the All-American.
He's such a sure thing.
The All-American place kicker, the All-American field goal kicker, had a 54-yarder on Saturday in a big spot, which, look, we've heard about and seen him make big kick after big kick. It feels like the first time you ever saw Cade York at Texas, he was drilling big kicks. He did that throughout the season last year, obviously with the way that the year ended in that Florida game and him hitting that game into the night and winning that game. He is one of only 2 LSU kickers all time with 4 50-yard field goals in one season.
Do you get a little concerned about this might fall into Cole Tracy territory with a new offense, young quarterback, to where LSU settles for field goals almost too often? Because O was so quick to trot out Cole Tracy a bunch of times in 2018 whenever he just look, he's a sure thing within 45. He probably didn't take chances that you maybe would like to see a coach take in terms of all right, we should go for it on 4th and 1. We should do this. Mm-hmm. You want to be aggressive in certain spots, but he was so almost reluctant to do that because he knew that he could get 3 points. Does Cade York kind of fall into that territory in your mind?
Possibly. I think that Ed Ogeron is trying to balance a lot of stuff offensively, and now being one of them, the protection and health of the quarterback. And I think if there is a chance for Cade York to get you a guaranteed 3, or you take a gamble or a risk at possibly a quarterback keeper or a 4th down conversion or a big play that you may think that the percentages may not lie in your favor. Hey, All-American, go get the 3. Yeah. Go get the points, because look, we've talked a lot about this over the last couple of weeks. There's going to be I think forever, not forever, but at least for the next feeling near future, you will see the emphasis of spread offense in college football. People are looking to score points. They're looking to create mismatches. But the strength of LSU's team this year may just be line up and run it. You know what I mean? They may be a run-first offense again in a spread-style attack. It won't look like I formation and just banging into the wall. But I think that there will be, an emphasis on trying to run the ball first and take some pressure off of Johnson and maybe the lack of the second option in the playmaking category for LSU. And I think Cade York gives you a lot of security about that. He's a guy that gives you a lot of he's a stress reliever for a football coach. You feel like you've got the 3 within 60, 55 yards, 58 yards.
Over under on his longest field goal this year, what would you say? Or would you set it? Because
plus 55.
But how many kickers 50? Can do that in college football? I don't think many. He's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
Yes.
He might be able to leave early.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah.
No,
I don't know if he can leave early, but he'll get drafted. I definitely think that he'll get drafted. He's done too many things in big moments not to get drafted, and he's proven that he's got the leg. I think the thing that has kept Cole Tracy off of NFL teams is that he didn't have the strength in his leg to drill some of these big.
That Florida kick was good from 65.
He drilled that thing.
Money.
As soon as it left the ground, it was good, and it was no doubt it was good. Like it was.
The only kick I can remember he missed one in the national title, and he was a freshman, and we're like, what the hell was that?
Absolutely.
That's how good
and
he was.
And even Ogeron's reaction, he glances over at Greg McMahon like, are you effing kidding me? This guy had missed all year. Listen to his stats. And I don't want to fall into the special teams conversation or glorifying the kicker, but LSU's got a legitimate dude as both their place kicker and their field goal kicker. Avery Atkins is a game changer in himself.
He just boots it out every time.
Absolutely. He takes the threat away from, a big-time returner. But check out these numbers. On Cade York, he's LSU's single-season record holder for points by kicking in a season with 152. He did that back in the national championship season. His points after touchdown numbers at LSU is he's 125 of 129. I can't remember the 4 he missed. I really can't. I was racking my brain thinking about it this morning. He's 125 of 129 on PATs. I cannot remember.
It had to be like nothings,
I can't recall one of those 4 off the top of my mind.
Never in a big spot.
Never in a big spot is really kind of what jumps to mind.
19 we scored so much so it didn't even matter.
Yeah, his 125 his 125 career PATs ranked number 4 in LSU history. For a career in field goals, he is 14 of 16 in Tiger Stadium. He's 22 of 26 in road games and 3 of 6 in neutral sites. He is one of 2 LSU kickers in the history of the program with 4 50-yard field goals in one season.
Who's the other one?
I was thinking David Browndyke. I don't know that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
You could go to the bank with that. Nobody would question you on David Browndyke.
I'm just thinking on who that could possibly be. If there is an LSU historian out there, that's a great trivia. If somebody could, who's the other field goal kicker at LSU with 4 50-yard field goals in a season other than Cade York?
You have to ask Hannegriff.
Hannah Griff or Todd Polites?
Todd Polites would be the guy to ask. But my first thought of Cade York, and I don't want to like go too deep on the kicker conversation, but I mean, he had stones against Texas, like to come in that moment and be a freshman after what Cole Tracy just
huge
did. Huge drive, huge moments.
Yes.
And we were enamored with Cole Tracy because he was so clutch. We're like, oh no, now we have a freshman. We knew he was good, but how do you perform whenever the chips are down on the table? And he had absolute stones. And we're like, all right, we're good. We're good here.
He's only a sophomore. Look at his legacy.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's a junior. He's going into his junior year, but that's what I'm saying. It's been unreal. To have a solid kicker like that is such a luxury. You forget about it because
it's
you
like an accurate passer.
Right, exactly. It's right. Unbelievable.
Daily, we're brought to you by AdvantaClean. Remember, online at advantaclean.com. Get in touch with AdvantaClean today if you need any help, assistance on around the house, in the office, on water, fire, or mold damage. If you see any, if you smell any, if you've been running across some and you've been wanting to make that call and you need to log online and get in touch with Bradley Lynch, do that this morning. ADVANTA clean.com, AdvantaClean.com. We flooded a couple of months ago, and AdvantaClean was our first call. They helped us throughout the entire process, from working with the insurance company to working with the contractors to everything in between. AdvantaClean, very professional, very experienced, very friendly, and cost-friendly as well. Get in touch with Bradley Lynch. Call him today at 369. It's a 225 area code. 369-5228. 225-369-5228. AdvantaClean is online at AdvantaClean.com. You can find them conveniently located right here in Baton Rouge on Segan Lane, or in between Segan Lane and Airline Highway and Industrialplex. So check out AdvantaClean. ADVANTA clean.com, AdvantaClean.com, to help you with all of your water, fire, or mold damage for cleaning up. So that is a good trivia question when you talk about only 2 LSU kickers in the history of the program have made 4 40-yard field goals, 4 50-yard field goals in one season. Cade York is one of them. He is on campus now. I say David Browndyke.
I want to see him hit one from 60.
I don't know if you probably trot him out there this year.
That's what I'm saying. He's gonna. There will be a moment whenever he goes out there and you'll be like, "Holy shit, are we gonna kick a field goal right now?"
What was it from 71?
Like 71, yeah.
That was unbelievable. Janikowski.
They put him out there. All-timer.
All-timer, because if you remember whenever they played in the national championship.
Yes, he suspended him.
Yes, they made him run. Yeah. Bobby Bowden sent him out because he went out. He broke curfew on Bourbon Street.
That's right.
And they're like, "What are we gonna do with this Ruski Janikowski who's just out all night?" And he's like, "Well, you're just gonna run stadiums at the Superdome." And then he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna suspend you the whole game. We might need you in the second half." Like, that's the ultimate kicker pool, to be like, "I'm too good to. I can go out."
Right.
That's the
first round pick.
That's unbelievable.
First round.
It's a first round pick.
And worth it.
Yes. I mean, he stayed in the.
He's a weapon.
He stayed in the franchise for, I want to say, 14 years.
And then he got fat, and they still wanted him.
They almost deported him. They almost deported him like his second or third to last year in the league. He did something. He was arrested on something, and they almost. They tried to deport him. We got some good ones coming in. We'll get you the answer before we get out of here. I'll call Hannah Griff. I'll text Hannah Griff because no doubt he knows. Carl says Colt David. One Team, One Podcast says Josh Jasper, a possible selection there. So we will.
Hannah Griff will know off the top of his head.
Yeah, for sure. And so would Todd Polites.
Todd Polites would that would be the only person I would pick before Hannah Griff. Is Todd Polites. He's not only as he might be a degenerate horse gambler, because I have alerts turned on for his tweets, and it's a lot of horse talk, which I didn't know he did until I've been following this. Like, oh, he might have a problem. But his knowledge for LSU everything, is he's undefeated. He's won. He's the first overall pick.
First overall Plucker Sports Trivia.
Yeah. Oh my God, it wouldn't even be fair.
100%. Happy heavenly birthday to Kobe Bean Bryant today. 43 years young to the Black Mamba, as he was, of course, passed away January of 2020. It feels crazy that he's been gone that long. And today the world will celebrate Kobe. I'm sure that you will see all types of stuff popping up on social media, all type of memories coming across your timeline.
Do you remember where you were when you heard the news? Because that was
I do.
one
I was sitting in this room.
Really?
I was sitting in this room because it was the day of, I believe it was the day of the AFC NFC championships. And
there's also a golf tournament going on.
There was a golf tournament going on.
Like a major. Because that's what I was watching, and somebody told me, and I was just like,
shut up.
Yeah, like my jaw dropped. I was like, what? It's just one of those sports moments, or even just lifetime moments where you're like, I don't effing believe you.
Yes.
Like, that's not what happened. Like, get on with that bullshit. Take that to somebody else.
The TMZ
And then my phone just started break, and I was like, oh my God. It's just one of those, like, times in my life where, like, time stopped.
Yes.
You know?
Very much so.
You ever hear the Shaq story? His kid,
Yeah.
Sharif, goes down and says, get that out of my face. That's not real.
He handed him the phone with the news, and he, like, slapped the phone out of his hand.
Even Shaq.
Yeah.
Get that shit out.
They buried that beef, though.
They did.
Oh, yeah,
That interview on TNT was fantastic. The sit down with the 5 championship.
On the court.
Yes, where they're sitting there.
Need the Les Miles versus the play clock. Sit down.
Yeah. It'll never happen. Run out of time.
Or you and Les. That'd be good.
Yeah. But Shaq and Kobe, that was a great interview. That really kind of, you could tell, kind of buried the past for both of those guys and moved them forward. But today, Kobe Bryant, 43 years old, as he will be remembered all over the place.
Bean, underrated nickname.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Black Mamba's fire, but Kobe Bean Bryant just sounds like a killer.
Bean is is one, and you can in some of the behind the scenes stuff that I was watching with the team that went to Tokyo, or not Tokyo, was it Beijing?
Beijing,
yeah,
08.
Beijing in 08. Like Dwayne
fair.
Wade, LeBron, like Chris Bosh, like all those guys called him Kobe. Like that was like you could tell that was kind of like their name for him. They called him. They would always reference him as Kobe. And Richard Hamilton actually grew up with him. Richard Hamilton has great insight on Kobe, kind of being who he is, because they grew up in the same area in Philadelphia.
Lower Merion.
And Rip Hamilton was kind of like the name when Kobe got to Philly, that he was the guy. Like, he was kind of the guy, because Kobe got to Philly late. He had been living in Italy up until the time, I think he was like 13, 14 years old. And he gets to Philly, and you know how Kobe was like, who's the baddest mother bleepers in the city?
Well, he
And
made
they
a
were like,
he made a
he made a list.
Kill
Yeah, he
us.
made a
Well,
list.
at 15 years old, he's out there making serial killer lists. Is essentially what it is, where it's like the Billy Madison, where the guy's put on the lipstick, and he's like, boy, I'm glad I called that guy.
Right.
But Kobe had like that insane mentality of like, who do I need
But
to
like, he had
put
that
me
at,
on the
like,
map?
12,
Right.
13, 14
That's what I'm saying,
coming
did it
up.
at 15 years old.
Yeah. And I mean, like the stories from point of views of Rip Hamilton and Kobe Bryant are so funny, because like Rip was talking about how he ran the city. I mean, like, as a youngster, like, I mean, he was kind of the dude. I mean, everybody had to go through Rip Hamilton really to get
Beast.
anything accomplished from a basketball standpoint. And Kobe like came up in there like a hurricane, just like a tornado,
Shaking
man.
the shit up.
Yeah, just touched down and was like, who's Rip? And I was Rip. He was like, I'm gonna check you. And from then on, Kobe, and then Kobe will kind of take over the story, and was like, it became my city. Philly became my area, my town. And Rip wouldn't, he would never, he
wouldn't question that.
He would never back down from that. That's why that Detroit LA series in 05 between like Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Shaq, that Kobe Bryant LA team against the Detroit Pistons with Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, a lot of that was back and forth between Rip and Kobe. You learned a lot of the history between those two. But I'll never forget Kobe Bryant. I'll never forget the impact that Kobe Bryant had on my sports life, just because of who he was, how he played, the way that he competed, the way that he loved and respected the game, and to see the way that the game has loved and respected him back after his playing career was very cool to see, especially while he was alive in that brief time where he had embraced who he was and what he meant to the game, and really started to share that back with people like Trae Young and
Giannis
and Kawhi Leonard, who he was very tight with.
It was almost like a little bit of a Tiger Woods whenever he got older in his career, because if you talk to anybody that played against Tiger, it was that mentality where he wouldn't let you get close to him. He had just one track mind of, I'm trying to win everything and I don't want to make any friends out here. But when you see them later in life, they start to share those, they become cooler with their peers. And I feel like Kobe did a good job of that. Because early, there was Kobe whenever he was trying to get traded from Los Angeles, and he was a nightmare.
He was maybe at the time, the most unlikable athlete in sports.
Kobe.
You know what I mean? Like when he was very, when he was going through his prime, he was hard to like.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was tough to like. But what you realize, or what at least I realized, is that you grew up with him. I mean, he was 20 years on the scene, and for about 14 of those, he was the best player in the world.
Let's SportsCenter.
He was the guy every single night that you bought the ticket for. And what I always loved and respected about players like Kobe Bryant, that stratosphere of athlete that knows every single night people are coming to just get a little piece. They're just coming to say that I was in New Orleans on some February night and saw Kobe play. And Kobe understands that, or understood that, and brought that. He gave it back to the game and gave it back to the crowd, in which it was, we were watching Mozart play piano. We were watching,
a concert.
Some of the greatest artists, some of the most iconic names that you put with their trade. That was Kobe Bryant in basketball. Whenever we had the chance to watch him, whether it was in your living room or whether you had floor seats or whether you were sitting in the nosebleed, you were going to get the top effort and love, respect, passion for basketball. It didn't matter if it was in November, or it didn't matter if it was the finals or the Olympics or whatever it was. Some of his favorite memories, or some of his favorite highlights that I go back and watch, is his Rucker Park highlights. Do you remember that?
Yes.
In 2002, when he showed up to Rucker Park, what that scene was
down.
like. The
Better
people
than the KD one?
hanging out.
Yes.
People hanging out of
Wow.
their windows.
I've never seen this.
In the
Rucker
hood.
Park, yeah.
Just people
Air conditioner units and
dangling
people.
out of their windows. People turning on their car lights to light up the court into the night, where Kobe and him talking about what that meant for him. Kind of to take that next step as a basketball savant, a basketball enthusiast, somebody that would be deemed one day a basketball expert. He had to go master Rucker Park. You know what I mean? He had to do that. And he just pulls up on some Friday afternoon, and the place, if you read about it, some of the Rucker Park historians or some of the legends that are there every single day are like, it's a day that we'll never forget. It's a day that this place has never seen. I think the only other day that they compared to it was when Julius Erving showed up in the mid-'70s when he played for the Brooklyn Nets, and showed up with the afro and walked out there and had the Chuck Taylor high tops on. It was
when you say Rucker Park, I think KD.
He did the same thing.
To my age.
He saw what it did for Kobe.
Well, yeah, it took it brought Rucker Park back almost to where it's like, wait, this is cool again. It's cool to come here and be an NBA player and come play here with everybody. I'm looking at pictures of Kobe, and this is insane. It's more packed than I remember.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
The shots of behind, when he's dribbling the ball on half court. And there's shots of the people behind. It's unbelievable. It is amazing. And I think that did a lot for Kobe's reputation. It loosened up a lot of people around Kobe. A lot of people were very tight around Kobe at that time because he was such an asshole. Such a dick. He he nearly did not.
Dude, it's just easy to hate, dude.
I mean, he punched Shaq in the face when he was 21 years old. I mean, at the time, Shaq was Superman. He was the most recognizable athlete on the planet. He was the Diesel. I mean, he was. Nobody messed with Shaq.
Most
you know what I mean? And this
player.
kid is punching him in a pickup game. But I mean, after 20 years of his body of work, you think back and you say, of course he did. Of course he punched Shaq at 20 years old and demanded this 7-footer to run up and down the court and not eat fast food and not sleep in and missing taking care of your body so he could be
the best,
the ultimate. I fell in love with Kobe. I'll never forget.
Wow.
I'll never forget the moment that I fell in love with Kobe Bryant, and I was scared to admit it because it was very uncool to like Kobe at the time, right? But it was when Shaq fouled out of the 2000 finals in Indiana
the Pacers.
against the Pacers, against Reggie Miller and all those guys. He fouled out in game 4, game 3 in Indy, in Market Square Arena.
Rockin'.
And Kobe Bryant took the game over single-handedly.
Game 4, 2000.
Took the game over and made shots like the crossover at the top of the key, pull up where he just doesn't even hit the rim and it strips the net type stuff. He follows up a Derek Fisher shot where it's like bouncing off the rim. Kobe goes up into like in the middle of like Dale Davis and all those dudes like back in the day. I mean, like enforcers in the paint.
He missed
grabs one, puts it back up for an and one. That's where he's like looking at the bench and he's patting. He's like, I got this.
We good.
I got this.
Well,
that was kind of his next step.
His coming out party.
Yes.
He missed
and
the
I remember
previous
like
2 games of that with an ankle.
That's
sprain.
right. He had the ankle. He had the ankle. That's when he was signed by Adidas. He was rocking the Adidas with no laces. But I remember sitting in my college apartment, like with a room full of bros, you know what I mean? Like watching the game. And all of us hated Kobe because we loved Shaq. We were Shaq guys. We were LSU, you know what I mean? We loved Shaq. But I remember in that moment thinking, I love this guy. I mean, like, look how good
Killer.
he is. He is a killer, man.
It's like almost he was waiting for this moment for Shaq to get out so he could be like, look, this is my team.
Yes, he was. He had been waiting for that moment almost his entire Laker life because him and Shaq showed up together. I mean, Shaq signed as a free agent in '96, the same year that Kobe was drafted 13th by Charlotte and then traded. Jerry West makes the trade and brings him to L.A. that same summer. So they grew in L.A. side by side. I mean, Kobe was just a little bit younger. But I mean, Shaq was 4 years into the league. It wasn't like he was a seasoned
Already been
vet.
to the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, he just played out his rookie contract. That was it.
Did the Zion.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. And he was waiting for that because it was Shaq's team from the day he showed up. Obviously so. I mean, Shaq was the biggest force in basketball. But Kobe deep down was waiting for that moment where Shaq would leave the floor and Kobe would have the stage to himself. And in that Indiana Game 4 finals, he took the game over single-handed. As a sports fan, it was the first time I ever really recognized. I had seen it before. I had seen one person take over a game. I just didn't know what I was watching. At that moment, I remember realizing this is what it means to watch one person dominate the competition. Like, they could not stop him. Jalen Rose, that team.
Not Jalen Rose.
But I mean, like that whole, like it was that team, like that squad. They threw everything they had at Kobe Bryant, and he would just break it down. He would break it down.
They had the most iconic moment where he throws the lob up to Shaq, and then Shaq somehow flushes it.
Oh, then he points.
Yeah, that was Portland.
Portland.
That was in Portland, and Shaq's pointing to his family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the run they went on in 2000.
Was that was the Western Conference Finals?
Game 7 Western Conference Finals. I think
they were
Scottie
down by 15 in the fourth quarter.
I think Pippen was on the Blazers.
Yeah, he was on. That was the Jailblazers. That was Rasheed Wallace, Scottie Pippen, Reuben Patterson,
Yes.
but who was nicknamed the Kobe Stopper, who had been arrested for rape.
Oh God.
Jesus.
I mean, dude, look at the jail.
How's he playing?
Read the story on the Jailblazers in Sports Illustrated.
Zach Randolph.
Zach
Rasheed
Randolph.
Wallace.
Rasheed Wallace, Reuben Patterson, Scottie Pippen was on that team. They got a couple of other ones, but they talk about how that team showed up to a charity event. It's one of the greatest reads in Sports Illustrated. I'll just say this part and then we'll move on. But it is I laugh. It's not funny, but it's funny in the sense of, you have to find your humor in it, because if you don't, it's a terrible story. But that team showed up to a charity event at a children's hospital in the Portland area that was, for terminally ill kids. And Rasheed Wallace shows up, and some kid comes running up to him that has a that is sick, and is like, "Sheed, you're my guy. I love you, man. You're the best." And he hands him a basketball to sign it, and he gives him a Bic pen with it. And Sheed's like, "Man, you ain't got no mother effing Sharpie?" And the kid's like,
Jeez.
The kid's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Man, I don't really sign autographs with pens, man. I need a Sharpie, man." He gives him the ball, and the kid's like
does
just
anybody have a Sharpie?
deflated. You know what I mean? And the guy's like, because the guy on Sports Illustrated was following the Trailblazers, my first interaction with the Trailblazers is we go to the children's hospital, and Sheed's bitching at some kid to give him a Sharpie over an autograph because he gave him a big pen.
Yelling at a terminally ill kid. He's like, "Well, I just brought a pen.
Good morning.
All of my job."
Who's that? Cardale?
Cardale Jones.
Beating kids in the children's hospital 100-2 in NCAA football.
The same story. That's the same thing.
But Reuben Patterson was nicknamed the Kobe Stopper. That's why Portland signed him.
J.R. Ryder. Oh my God.
And Kobe used to light Reuben
He took that
Patterson.
personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I took it personally.
Kobe Stopper. The fuck is that?
Yeah, right.
That's
Took
it.
it personal.
Took that personally.
Daily, we are brought to you by Edward Jones. Remember our friends over at Edward Jones, Daniel Newman. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com is where you can find him. Very convenient. Our financial advisor over here, he's helped us out tremendously. Let him do the same for you, making sound financial decisions, pointing you in sound financial direction, and also giving you sound financial advice all along the way. Get in touch with Edward Jones and Daniel Newman. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. He is located out in central Louisiana. We're going to talk to Derek Stingley Sr. coming up here in a couple of minutes. Katie's in the building. She just walked in. The Queen of Carpool is through and will be on set here for the last hour. We will talk Saints at 8:15 as Mike Triplett from ESPN.com will stop by. We'll talk about some of the storylines going into tonight's game for New Orleans versus Jacksonville. Quarterback race, of course, heating up here for preseason game number 2. Any questions that you may be looking at for Mike Triplett or the Saints, get them in over at the Bunker, anywhere where you chat with us. Get inside and ask your Saints questions, and we'll get them asked and answered here in a couple of minutes with Mike Triplett. But next, we will talk to Derek Stingley Sr. Give me 30 seconds to reset the set, get Katie over here back in front of the microphone, and we will get to hour 2 of the Jordy Culotta Show, presented daily by Go Chevrolet. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, "You grow it, I mow it." 225-485-8022, 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. GoFlow IV and Spa, 7970 Jefferson Highway is where you can find them, or you can simply go online to goflowiv.com. GoFlow IV Spa is a medical spa that specializes in IV hydration with vitamin infusion. At GoFlow IV Spa, they can help you with a wide range of issues, from skin care to illness recovery, athletic performance, hangover cure, chronic illness, and even chronic dehydration. GoFlowIV.com or stop in and see them, 7970 Jefferson Highway. Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, hebertsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. hebertsmarkets.com. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, live and driven by Go Chevrolet.
Just wasn't listening.
Hayden Paris says, I know a lot of people pretend to be Saints fans and they have to be covered, but I know they're just latch-ons to the Drew Payton regime bandwagon. In 10 years, they'll be talking of moving the Saints. You sound miserable, Hayden.
I remember Aaron Brooks throwing it backwards and smiling.
Yes, absolutely.
I was there. I saw the John Carney missed extra point after the Jerome Payton a million laterals touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was there, Hayden. I know all about it.
Derek Stingley Jr. is, as we are donning the new 7, Katie is in the studio. The carpool queen is back. Good morning. How are you, Katie?
Morning. Well, thank you.
It's good to see you. Good weekend. We will get to that at some point here. The heroes of the weekend will be coming up at the end of the hour. We'll talk Saints with Mike Triplett. We've got the new number 7 Stingley Jr. jersey here inside of the UDL, and it looks fantastic.
Where is it?
It is over your right shoulder here.
I was like, oh, yeah, that does look good. I've only seen it in the photo.
Does that look great or
it's
what?
It's awesome.
Number 7 has not been out on the past 2 preseason games. I'm not worried at all. In fact, I kind of support this.
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional player. It's like he's not going to play the preseason, brother.
Stingley Sr. is a weekly with us here that we will talk on Mondays, which we were looking forward to that. And we will get the insight from Coach. He has not been around Baton Rouge for the last 2 weeks, so he has not been inside Tiger Stadium. But we can dive into a lot of stuff with Coach as he is back with us here on this Monday morning. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing good. The 7 looks great inside the studio. Send our thanks to Junior and our special thanks to you. For making that happen for us over here at the UDL. It looks
no problem.
Looks spectacular. How is our boy? Just checking up on 7 real quick. If they played today, he could go, I've heard. Is this correct?
Yes, he'll be able to play.
Yes.
Yeah, he's dealing with a foot issue. We don't know if it's a bone bruise or just something, tendonitis or something. We just don't want to get it aggravated any more than what it already is. But he's good. He's good to go. I think that LSU training staff and the coaches, they're doing the right thing by taking it slow with him, making sure that he's fully healthy, keeping him in some form of shape to where once practice starts next week, he'll be ready to go on the field and getting ready for UCLA.
Coach, Lloyd and I were speaking before today, and we were talking about the rundown and who was coming on. We were talking about you stopping by here and Sting missing a couple of days, and we were talking about his body awareness, kind of an athlete like him. Feels like a Ferrari, Rolls Royce. I mean, they know when a bolt is out of line, when something's not screwed in tightly enough, when they're due for a new just a checkup. Do you get that from your son, that he is very tuned into his body, where he has a very good understanding of, like, look, man, I just, something's off, something's not right?
Yeah, he's been like that his whole entire life. Like, with him, he was always able, even as a young boy, was always able to tell me exactly what was going on, how he was feeling, if he can go, if he can't go. He's always been honest like that. I think that's because he's been around me for so long as a coach. When I coached in arena football, he would always be there, and he would understand how important it was for me to know my players' ability to be out there on the field. So, I had to deal with the trainers and the doctors, and I would always tell the players, you have to be honest with me. Don't be selfish just telling me, hey, I want to play and I want to be there for the team. But if you're hurt, then you can't go out there really hurt and injured. You can't go out there and sacrifice yourself, and then you don't give us a good version of you, and then now there's a chance we may lose the game. I need to know from the doctors and from you if you can really go. And I think that's where he gets that from. So he's always been honest, and I like that about him.
I know that you have not been in the stadium the past 2 weeks, but some of the things
actually, I was at the first.
Okay.
I've been away for a week.
Oh,
so I was at the first.
Love it.
One, yeah.
One of the things that we hear coming out of there is that this defense is championship level. That if LSU is getting a lot of attention nationally here in the preseason, it is because of that side of the ball. Another preseason game came and went over the weekend, and there were some good things coming out about the offense, but it seemingly, again, looks like it was won by the defense. When you hear of this group, or when you see this group together, do they look championship level?
They look like they can compete with anybody level. I can tell you that. They're moving around much better. They're showing different looks. They're keeping a big play to a minimum, which is good. They're making teams actually earn those first downs, as opposed to earn those 25-yard gains that they were getting last year or more. So that's the one thing that you notice. You see a lot of two safety high looks. Every now and then that safety will creep down, but he's coming down from a two safety look. So it's a little confusing for the offense, to be honest. And it makes offenses probably want to run the ball a little bit more, but when that safety starts creeping down, that safety becomes a box player as well. So I think Coach Jones is doing a great job. I see the players, to be honest, they're buying in big time to him. They're mixing things up from the fronts, from the blitzes, from the coverages. I mean, guys are out there playing hard, and they're playing fast too. So we saw them playing hard last year, but we just didn't see them play fast enough to be able to keep up with some of the offenses when they were motioning and putting us in different situations. Now, everybody's on the same page. You don't see smoke coming from their ears like last year. You just see all out, relentless, I want to get to the ball wherever the ball is, and that's a good sign.
You mentioned the safeties, and that was a spot and an area last year after the Ole Miss game. If you would have quizzed the LSU staff, you would have said, "Hey, give me your positions of concern in order." I'd imagine that safety and linebacker would have been at the top of the list, and that is two positions that they have made not only more plentiful in talent, but seems like strengths of the squad going into the season. When you look at the safety and you look at some of the personnel that they've added here in the offseason into the recruiting class, how good can they be in that back end?
Well, I think they're going to be one of the best because you got somebody like Jay Ward back there now who Jay is just a multiple player. He's a Swiss Army knife on defense to where he can play corner, he can play nickel, and now he's at safety position where he's just an aggressive player, and he's a ball hawk. He plays hard. He comes off the hash with it on his mind to take somebody out if they want to come catch that slant or come across on a dig or anything. And then now with the recruiting issues, I mean not issues, but with the recruiting and transfer portal, we got Major Burns, we got Matthew Langlois, we got what's my guy from Lafayette, Christian
Sage Ryan.
Yeah, Sage. So you got those guys, and those guys are competing. And me personally, I think Major may wind up being the other guy opposite of Jay. But either way it goes, I mean, they're all playing great, and then you can probably put a lot of guys out there. I mean, we forget about our guy from Plaquemine. I can't remember names right now. I don't know why.
Todd Harris.
Yeah, Todd Harris. Yeah, and Todd is healthy now to the point where, you may see the best version of him. So I think Coach Jones got the opportunity to put a lot of different guys in different situations. We could possibly go out there with 7 DBs, like what Auburn was doing to us at one point. With Joe Burrow. So, and I don't think we would lose out with the physicality, because you got someone like Jay that could be physical. You got Todd Harris, who's always physical. You got Sage, who he's a brute as well. And then you got Matthew Langmore, that he can come downhill and come off the hash just as well. He's probably one of the fastest of the all safeties. So there's some talent back there. It's going to be interesting to see how Coach Jones uses those guys.
Obviously, the coaching staff has a lot of respect of your input and what you have to say. You've called plays at the professional level of football. What is that like for a guy like Durante Jones, who obviously has a great understanding and great chemistry with his players, but as far as the resume goes, this will be the first time he's calling the plays. What is that like, at least from your point of view, somebody who has done that to somebody that is going to do that for the first time?
Well, the good thing about it is that the timing on when he came into the football ops building, so he had an opportunity to have all the off season, including spring and now fall camp and going. So he's getting to know his players, and then he was also actively involved in the recruiting part of things. Yeah. So he's getting to know all the players that he will actually use at his disposal. So knowing your players is key. Knowing what they're capable of doing is always the best situation for a coach. You don't want a coach that's saying, "Hey, my system works. Give me any player and I'll plug and play." You're going to fail. You take what your players can do and you use that to your advantage, and then you work around that. You say, this guy can give me this pass rush, this guy can give me this bull rush, this guy can give me this side to side play, this guy can be a cover guy that I don't have to worry about the field. That's when you become good, because then you say, you know what, I'm taking advantage of what I got. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. It's not just my way. It's what we have on the field. So I think he's going to do just fine, because he's had the time to know his players, and then for him coming from the NFL to where he can mix some coverages up to where maybe some college coaches haven't seen some of those looks, to where it's working into our favor for sure.
Derek Stingley Sr. joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. He'll be here every week with us, every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, talking about what we saw, what we anticipate seeing on the weeks ahead, and just tapping into his football mind, which we appreciate very much. Your son has had a lot of success in name, image, and likeness here. I think that has not surprised a lot of people. He's considered to be one of the faces of college football. As his old man, how has that been to sit back and watch the success? I see the latest relationship is with United Airlines, with an international company. What is some of this been like over the last couple of weeks for the Stingleys?
I'm not going to take any of that credit. All the credit belongs to the Ballinger Group. He signed with this marketing group right at the beginning of the name, image, and likeness, and they've been working these deals and pushing them out. I mean, there was a few that we also had to turn down, and I respect what they do. They work at a good pace. They have a roster of other players that they're working with just as well, some college players. But it's all on them, and they're making sure that we're not throwing so much at Derek to where it's taken away from the real reason on why he's a college athlete, that is to play football, not to make money off name, image, and likeness. It's not about that. It's just that this is a new thing in college football, so some players can take advantage of it. But it's school football, in my opinion, family, then NIL. Mm-hmm. That's how that works. We're not going to overload my son just because we have other companies that want his services. You know what? The thing about the NIL thing is great now, but it's better if you put out a better resume on the football field and you become a professional athlete. When you look back at these NIL deals, they're minimum compared to what you could make as a professional on the marketing side. So I just don't want all the parents or players to think that oh, I have to take this deal. I have to make money. I have to, maximize my money and my profit here on a college level. It's greater on the other side if you pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing, which is playing football and being a college student. And it's cool. And we got it easy because of what Derek has done in the past, because that's what the NIL deals are like right now. But I think once the season starts, we get to the middle of the season, you're going to see other guys start making deals because those sponsors are going to go with the hottest guy. It's going to be a nameless guy we don't even know about, but he's playing great in the middle of the season. So now his NIL opportunities are going to become greater. That's what I think is really going to happen. And this is really for like freshmen and incoming freshmen, because by the time they become sophomores and juniors, they're the ones that are really going to capitalize off this. My son, he's in a good position only because of, what he put on the field the previous year or two. But now, that's not what it's about. But I know that it's the hot topic. But we're trying to keep it to where my son isn't overwhelmed with all this madness of the NIL stuff.
How do you handle this in season? How do you handle the communication in season? Is there an understanding that, look, man, once the season kicks off, he's done. He's signed up on who he's representing, or is there still negotiation that can happen within the 12-game season?
I mean, there's still going to be deals being done, but once again, each athlete, all the parents need to understand that it's about football. It's not about their product. Case in point, so let's just say, I don't know, I'm just throwing a name out there. Let's say Wendy's come on board and say, okay, this is week 3. Hey, we need you to come over here to Wendy's and serve some food out of the window, drive the window from 7 to 9 o'clock, a.m. or p.m. Choose which one. Okay, it can't be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. because he's in class or at school. Mm-hmm. It can't be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. because why? He's just getting out of meetings, and then guess what? He may have tutoring as well. So what these sponsorships need to understand is that these kids have this small little window of free time, and these kids need to understand that as well, to where this is something new on your plate, to where you trying to jump out there and grab every deal. Now these people gave you money. You got to go out there and do what they ask you to do, because it's just like any other job. And then if you can't do it, now you breach a contract, and now other things can happen. And the same for these sponsorships. They understand that you can't take all these kids' time, because their time is really needed on their practice field, game field, and class. That's what it's about. So everybody needs to understand that it's good and it's great that it's happening for these kids. But at the same time, you got to know how to deal with your time as a student, for sure. Because these coaches, they're going to sit there and say, oh, no. This is why we're here. We ain't here for you to go out there and shake hands, kiss babies, and sign autographs. That's not what that's about.
Has the marketing agency helped you in direction on that?
They have.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why we went and got one, for sure, because I knew that there were going to be deals coming down the way that, I can throw a contract out in front of a lawyer and say, read it and tell me what's right and what's wrong and what language needs to be taken out. But if you put somebody already that know this business and let them handle it, now things are done much easier and smoother, to a point where now they can be the buffer or the go-between. Hey, nope, sorry, he only has this window. He can only do this at this time. This is his off day, but we're not taking him, for his whole off day. He does need the rest. Maybe we can do this on a 10-minute call. Those type things, which is good, because now the parent, myself, I don't have to be the bad guy. Derek don't have to be the bad guy. We can let the agency, they can set the rules, and then everything just runs smooth. And me personally, I think for every player that has a status, like, top 10, 20 players like my son is, I think it's best for them to get a marketing agency, because if you don't, now these parents and these players, they're venturing down a road that they really don't know much about, and they can get taken advantage of.
That is excellent insight from Derek Stingley Sr. here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I would advise anybody with a student athlete out there that has any type of interest or is considering name, image, and likeness to listen to the last 4 minutes of this interview, because that is very insightful and refreshing. Coach, to me, this is one of the best week in sports. I'll get you out of here on this one, and that is high school jamborees crank up all over the state of Louisiana. There is nothing better than showing up to a high school field where you hear You hear the band, you smell the smells, you see the sound, you see everything. A high school football field is as local and as community driven as you can find. I know that you're with the Dunham Tigers and you guys are preparing for the week ahead, but just how special is this week in high school athletics? I know that there's a lot of stuff happening off the field, but it seems like football will be played all over the state of Louisiana this season.
Man, without a doubt. I mean, everyone's excited. I mean, you now really get the fans back into the stands. You get the kids, it's normalcy again. The schedule is back on schedule to everything feels right. It just fits right, for everyone with whether you're a player, coach, parent, faculty. It's that time of year to where it's all about football. It's all about jamborees, playoff, homecomings, all those things to where the fall fits right and feels right. One good thing about this week coming up, the Dunham School is retiring Derek's jersey, which is amazing for our family. And that's something special that, Derek is pretty happy about. And we couldn't be prouder, from a family standpoint on his accomplishments. And we truly are grateful to the Dunham School for even making that possible. Me personally, I always thought they retired jerseys like 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But the Dunham School, they're just an amazing program, man. And they do it right. Celebrate someone now, not later. And I like that approach from them. But yeah, high school football is back up cranking. Can't wait. You just can't wait for it all. It's time for us to get back to what we know is right in this football season.
We talked to Neil Weiner the date that that announcement was made, and I appreciate you bringing that up because I wanted to definitely get your remarks from that. But Coach, it seems like the impact that Dunham had on the Stingleys was felt just as strong as the Stingleys' impact on the Dunham School after talking to Coach Weiner a couple of weeks ago. Could you imagine that relationship working out as well as it did when you guys made the ultimate decision to place Derek in a school when you guys got to Baton Rouge?
We felt something, because I knew Derek was a great player at the age when we enrolled him at Dunham, but we didn't know that Derek would have this type of success. But Coach Bryant is just one of the most, I don't know, he's just so pure and so honest, easygoing and honest, just straightforward to where you would love for him to be the leader of your child on a football field. Just the way his approach is with everything. And it just reminds me of how the Dunham School is just as well, on how they bring kids or families into their welcoming arms to make everyone feel welcome to the point where you may have been there for a week or two, but it feels like you've been there all your life because they just make you feel like you're just a part of the family immediately. Yeah. And the school, in my opinion, is second to none because of the programs that they offer and how the faculty are with all the families and kids and things like that. The sports programs, I thought that we had a good run, especially basketball with Pixley. He just, oh my God, he took that to another level. Then you got the baseball program, we're always in the playoffs. Now, naturally, football, we hadn't won a championship in some time, but we've always competed hard and always made it to the playoffs. And we beat some big-time programs as well along the way. So the sports have came up big time, and Dunham's done a good job with being selective with what type of kids or parents or families they bring into the school. But at the same time, all the other kids that's there, they're all about performing and playing hard and doing things to their best, and that's what the Dunham School does. It brings out the best of people. And this is going to be a night that we get to celebrate Derek and his achievements and things like that. And I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out Friday.
Coach, we talked a little bit about a name, image, and likeness coming into this conversation, and so I say that to ask you this. How would you be flying to the game for UCLA? I'd imagine.
if United has a direct flight out of Baton Rouge to any away games, more than likely we'll be on that United flight.
Also, if United has a private air to get out there, remember the Jordy Culotta show, please. Coach, it's great to talk to you. Welcome back home, man.
Man, I love it. Glad to be back, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The best right there. That is Derek Stingley Sr. with incredible insight for anybody out there that is curious about name, image, and likeness, has a student athlete that is in and around name, image, and likeness. That was fantastic. 25 minutes with the man right there. Special shout out to GoFlow IV and hydration. It is. Actually,
I need that again.
Yes,
you guys do need it.
GoFlow IV and Spa over there on Jefferson Highway. They got the 3-month, 6-month, and annual membership available over there. Stop in and see them. I got the Glow last time, which was the anti-aging, illness recovery, vitamin C, zinc, and the B5.
You just get to have your fucking dealer's choice.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Lloyd, you're not looking glowing.
GoFlow IV and Spa, your hydration and wellness partner, located on Jefferson Highway. Get in touch with them online at goflowiv.com. All right, let's set up Mike Triplett here with. Give me 30 seconds to reset. We'll be right back on Triplett.
Yes,
we need to.
Please turn it
Jesus.
back
Body Sorry about the hiss. Deal with it.
Deal with it. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, right.
It's on the list.
Spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Welcome back here to this Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Check out the inventory online at geauxchevrolet.com. Let's jump into our next interview as we ran a little long there with Derek Stingley Sr. Jump in with Mike Triplett, who covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN.com. Saints on the field tonight, closing out this preseason weekend, as they will be inside of the Caesars Palace Superdome for the kickoff between the number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah,
a little
it still
strange.
Sounds a little
Still
weird.
Little
I'm like,
strange.
where are they playing?
Little
I
strange.
like the font that they went with. They went
And the
full.
Saints, yeah, they've embraced
full
it.
Caesars.
They've
Yeah.
embraced it.
I like it.
Mike, how do you like the relationship? Mike Triplett's joining us here. Good morning. How are you, buddy? Sorry we're late.
No, that's all right. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
I have to figure out how to spell. I have to figure out how to spell it. I have to figure out the apostrophe. I have to figure out if the word "the" is in there and capitalized. It's gonna be.
Yes, it does. I got to think that that Little Caesars is going to make a play here for the arena, though.
For
It would
sure.
be such good marketing, bro, if they were just next to him at Little Caesars. Mike, before we jump into this season, before we jump into the competition, before we even jump into tonight, we just hung up with Stingley Sr. His son may be the best college football player in the game. I wouldn't mind if they tanked and got a top 5 pick and were able to get Stingley Jr. and moreover, if they were able to get Aaron Rodgers. Before we jump into anything, let's stick with the fantasy stuff. Is there a chance that Aaron Rodgers could end up here next year, in your opinion?
I mean, it's hard to consider that realistic, but it's not the craziest fantasy thing you could put out there. We know that the Saints were going to make a play for Tom Brady last year as Drew Brees had retired. We know that the Saints have no interest in rebuilding and saying, yeah, you know what, it's just smart. Why don't we just rebuild through the draft and take a couple of years out? That's not how they operate. That's not how they're operating right now, even with the salary cap, issues that they ran into. They re-signed all their best players and sort of took their big cuts out of the middle class of the roster. So this is a team that's going to keep its foot on the gas pedal. So I think you can keep that fantasy alive, even though I'm not going to quite call it realistic.
I love it. As for tonight, the quarterback competition, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, how big is this second game for the competition?
Look, I think it's big. The one thing I think that this summer has really driven home, though, is they're not going to make it so easy on us. They're not going to make it so easy on Trumpy, where we just watch 2 weeks of practice, watch a preseason game, and realize, oh, it's obvious. This guy's just way better than this guy. It doesn't really work that way. And now, the fact that it's still close going into this game, I think tonight's game is really important. I think somebody could leave an impression, if they're impressive enough tonight, that the coaches really take note of, because this is when the lights are on. And if somebody wants to step up and be a gamer and win this thing, I think that'll leave an impression with coaches. But I don't think it happens that way. I think what we're going to see is what we've seen for 3 straight weeks. I think we're going to see a couple really good plays from each guy, a couple of, man, they're still doing that from each guy, a couple of wonky throws from each guy, and it won't be obvious. And it's going to have to go down to what the coaches are privately thinking and saying in their meetings all along. The good news is, if you take the worst thing about each quarterback heading into this summer, I think they've both shown improvements in that area. I think ball security will be improved for for Jameis Winston, and I think Taysom Hill is getting a little better at getting to his second and third read in the progression. And so no matter who they pick, I think they'll be better off than they were a year ago. But I tend to think it's Jameis Winston, so I tend to think if anyone can quote-unquote win it tonight, if Winston clearly looks better than Hill tonight, that might be sort of the final tiebreaker for him.
What does that do for Hill if Winston does win the job? Because I'm with you. I think he's the better quarterback. Does that make Taysom Hill, or is he the second-string quarterback on this team?
I mean, you have to think he would still agree to be Taysom Hill. I can't believe he would refuse to do it. And even though he lost weight and he trained differently this offseason, I don't think it would take very long for him to put a little extra bulk on and be able to block more. And maybe they would not ask him to do as much. Maybe he wouldn't play as much tight end. Maybe he wouldn't block defensive ends as much. And maybe he would just come in to do read option stuff and still be a quarterback who runs. Maybe he probably wouldn't do any more special teams. But I don't think it would be like that. No, I only throw now, and I refuse to do any of those other things.
Well, especially because the Saints are almost dire for weapons at this point, especially early
exactly.
in the year.
Maybe they're second or third best pass catcher on the whole team.
That's what I'm saying. So it's almost like they're forcing their hand to put Taysom as a weapon because the Saints are dire in that position. They don't. I mean, Marquez Callaway, if you look back a year ago, was not your number one wide receiver, and he is. You fast forward 10 months, and here he is as your number one. So I'd imagine that conversations internally with the Saints are saying,
right,
we kind of need Taysom outside.
Yeah, and look, that's one argument that I've made, which is, I think a tie goes to Winston for a number of reasons. He's younger, almost 4 years younger. It's actually Taysom Hill's 31st birthday today.
Nice.
And Jameis Winston is 27. Winston has the higher upside being the number one pick, and then obviously Taysom can play that role. But then I've heard others argue, well, because Michael Thomas is hurt, because they don't have any weapons, maybe they should just lean into the being this run-first, run-heavy team with Taysom Hill as their quarterback, ball control, and at least until Michael Thomas comes back. But I think both of I think you could throw both those arguments out the window. Whichever quarterback they think is better is going to win the job.
What do you make of this Mike Thomas situation? It seems like it's trending in the right direction now, but kind of navigate this relationship for me, how we got here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I still have never gotten a good explanation from Thomas or his side about why he waited to have the surgery. But it seems as though it was a case of him hoping to avoid surgery, hoping it would get better, maybe thinking it felt better. when he took some time off of it, more than some sort of protest or anything like that. And then I think, his reaction on social media and being upset is that the reports and the sourced reports characterizing it as Michael Thomas's fault, feeling like he got called out. So I don't necessarily think we're at a spot with him where he's so upset with the Saints organization that he wants to demand a trade or anything like that. It doesn't sound like we've gotten to that point. And the Saints were obviously frustrated that he didn't get healthy sooner in the year, but that's because they need him so bad. They're not eager to get rid of him either. They wanted him healthy before now, but they sure are going to be eager for him to get healthy in September or early October, too.
Mike Triplett joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Saints Jaguars tonight, as preseason game number 2 will be coming your way from the Caesars Palace Superdome. That'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff.
Is it AE or EA? Mike?
What's that?
Is it AE or EA for Caesars Palace?
No.
It's AE,
okay,
right?
it's AESARS.
Yeah,
Am I right?
that's
All
right.
right. Everybody
We're going with you, bro.
Trusted you.
We're going with
Never
you.
thought about it.
We brought up. Go
I
ahead.
think it's spelled the same as the salad, right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
All right.
That's a great
There you
trick.
go.
Great trick to remember it.
Okay. You
Not
brought
that
up.
I ever knew how to spell
I
the
was going to
salad.
say, do we know how to spell the salad?
No.
I'd love for us to be wrong on both accounts.
No.
We brought up Callaway, and Callaway has been a pleasant surprise, right? I mean, as Lloyd said, he's the number 1 option right now. I don't think anybody had him tabbed as this in his second year, but he is very much outshined his draft stock for sure.
No question. And look, every year, especially with pass catchers, we have to weigh, are we seeing a guy? I mean, we always notice the pass catchers in training camp because they're not tackling each other for one thing. So we notice pass catchers, DBs, and quarterbacks. And there's always a handful of guys who are just catching a ton of passes in training camp, and then they kind of disappear into the ether. And we always have to weigh, is this, a camp star, or is this, are we watching a real breakout here? And with Callaway, I think we're seeing a real breakout. I have hesitated to make him like a huge fantasy football sleeper because I do think Traquan Smith is going to play a big role on this team when healthy, and I do think Michael Thomas will be back, 3, 4, 5 games into the season. So it's possible Callaway will be their number 3 receiver a couple of months from now. But he's either going to be their 1, 2, or 3 receiver. There is no doubt that he looks the part, he shows the poise, he shows the confidence, and they show a lot of confidence in him. Both quarterbacks have made him their go-to guy, either down the field or in the red zone near the goal line. He's going to play a big role on that team.
Look, we talked to Derek Stingley Sr. Previous to talking to you, and I don't think anybody wants this to happen. But if the Saints absolutely stink out loud this year, and they have a top 5 pick, and Derek Stingley's on the board, and they don't draft him, would there be how much does that turn into? Just the Saints have no interest in LSU football players.
It's funny. I said they need to have. So they have this kicker opening that they keep having right now. Like they first went with. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on Brett Maher, and then he got hurt, and then they went with Aldrich Rosas. And I said they need to have somebody in the department that is just like managing fan PR, and it's like we could bring Cole Tracy in for a couple weeks just to throw them a bone, and just every once in a while we need to just let those LSU fans know that we don't hate LSU players, but look, they're not going to ignore. Stingley, don't you worry.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, everyone in that building wishes they traded up 2 spots for Justin Jefferson last year. There's nothing that will absolutely keep them. And look, they don't have to go in the tank. We just saw them try to trade up 20 spots into the top 10 to get Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn this year. So I would say, go ahead and go to the playoffs and then trade up 20 spots by next year.
Mike, I saw Marcus Davenport was on the field late into the game last week, and it looks like he is having a really good camp. What do you anticipate from Davenport now where he is in his football life?
I think health is one of it's the main question mark, might be the only question mark. There is so much talent there. There's so much opportunity there. He looks great in training camp. Trey Hendrickson had the breakout season with 13.5 sacks last year. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Marcus Davenport with double-digit sacks this year. He's a real talent who has battled injuries and has battled, maybe some confidence and consistency issues. But, he was a first-round draft pick for a reason. And if health and opportunity come together this year, I think I said last week, I'd love to buy stock in him because I know everybody's so down on him right now that the stock price is probably pretty cheap right now. You can't guarantee that it's going to happen for him, but I'd love to buy stock in him at the current price.
Last one, I'll get you out of here, Mike. Thank you very much for joining us here on Game Day. Quan Alexander seems like a medical miracle to be on the field and just moving around. How much of an impact can we expect from him this year? I mean, the images look incredible to see the way he's moving.
I would have given you a different answer 2 weeks ago, but not only did they re-sign him and bring him into camp, he's been out there with the first team in practices, in full team drills already and making plays, breaking up passes and stuff like that. I mean, I'd have to think he has to come along a little slowly, but it looks like he's going to be a real contributor on this team this year. And we've seen it. I mean, Achilles, you can point to a few people and say that guy never quite got fully back to speed all season. But like Alex Okafor is one that I remember. I think he tore his Achilles in October and started every game the next year for the Saints just a couple years ago and played pretty well. So it does happen.
Mike, enjoy Game Day. Thank you for the time this morning.
All right, thank you.
Amen. There's Mike Triplett checking in from ESPN.com this morning. He covers the New Orleans Saints. Keep up with him on Twitter to make sure and keep up with the latest of what's happening there. Daily, we're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Our friends over at Falaya Real Estate are really changing the way that real estate is thought of, the way that it's bought, sold down here in the state of Louisiana. Get in touch with Barrett Blondo, who is a personal friend. Today, you can call him at 225-939-6153 or just log online to falaya.com. Download the app at the Google Play or your Apple Store for Falaya. More from the latest there over at Falaya. You can sell your house by yourself and save thousands today. It's do-it-yourself for selling your house. This is empowered real estate. You can do it like a pro. Sell your home, buy, sell yourself, save thousands. It is TurboTax for real estate, really. Online, it is Falaya.com.
I was wondering how it worked. If that kind of made sense. I mean, I don't pay my taxes, but that kind of made sense.
Sure.
Okay.
That is not surprising.
I'm not making money, so there's no way. They're just not worried about me.
Yet.
What a promise.
Now they know.
Exactly. Why don't you chill out over there, bro? Yeah. That's a hot mic, for God's sakes. Falaya.com. Good stuff from Mike Triplett stopping by here for some Saints chat here on this Game Day, bro. It is Monday Night Football.
So
you'll
weird.
See
I can't believe we're
Trevor
saying that
Lawrence.
now.
Got the under 51.5 on the last leg of the three-team
football.
teaser.
Wow.
Three-team teaser in the preseason. It's tough.
No wonder he has no money.
That's where all my money's hidden. Are you kidding me? It's all in an offshore bank account. I don't know how to get it from them, but they do have it.
What bank does Bravado? Who do you use?
I can't say that on the air 100%. That's where I draw the line.
I can say I don't pay my taxes on the air, but I will not tell you that.
I will not tell you.
Something's different about you today. Did y'all notice this? I
Is it my
noticed
hair?
it right when I think it is. Like something's
growing out.
different. Like, did you
Thicker
get it
in the
cut?
back?
Is
It
it
is.
lighter? Yeah, it's
brushed
something.
up.
I showered.
I mean, maybe
Could have
that's
been a shower.
it.
Showered this morning. 3:30. Woke up, showered, drove from LA, got here glowing.
Isn't that the play, bro?
It is.
It is.
No alarm set.
No reason
No
to
alarm
stress.
set? You just
No,
woke up
no, I'm not a lunatic like this,
Okay.
man. I set
Wow.
my alarm.
Maybe that's it.
Is it the shower?
It must be the 3:30.
You know what it is?
AM
It's starting to
shower.
part in the middle, so she's noticing me a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit.
I knew.
That's what it
I
is.
There is a
was feeling
little bit of a middle
tingle.
part.
That must be what it
That's
is.
right. Lloyd.
All right.
Yeah.
Ladies, what
Stick
up?
in for the after
Yeah,
hour
it's just
show.
naturally falling that way. There you go.
Premium subscribers only.
Sorry, Rob.
Uh,
I think OnlyFans got shut down, right?
yes. How? What is? I mean, isn't that like McDonald's saying we're not serving burgers?
It's
Or
weird.
French fries.
I mean, Starbucks saying we're out of the coffee business.
Yeah, it
I
is
mean,
exactly
for
like
OnlyFans
that.
to say that we're out of the sex business, I mean,
Let me get the filet off the screen.
Then what's
Okay.
the
yes,
point?
thank you, thank
Barrett's
Has
like,
nothing to do
"For
with
the
it.
love of
Yourself.
God."
thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Barrett's like, did I pay for this? This is part of the ad.
Yes. He's closing his computer. Whoa, my OnlyFans just popped up. It's all good, Barrett. It's all
Sorry,
good. It's all
Barrett.
good. It's
Before
all
you
good.
buy you.
Yes. But that is very.
But yeah,
I mean, like, are
that's
they
a
out of
true
business?
thing.
Yes.
I mean, OnlyFans is out of business, right?
Are they? Are they?
Are they
I'm
just
looking it
gonna-
up
I mean,
right now.
this
I
is
mean,
gonna be a
They're not out of business.
This will be a hell of a. This will be a hell of a
I have
pivot.
an account already.
Wouldn't that be awesome if it did?
This would be a hell of a pivot.
But they're trying to.
Yeah. So what now, Katie?
Thanks for taking us down this rabbit hole.
I don't know how I'm going to move
Craigslist.
money now.
The reason that they have done this is because like
Credit
they
card?
can't get real. They've made over $5 billion for these same.
How much?
$5 billion for people
for you.
that
For
are
B?
in
Good for
OnlyFans, like people that have these accounts, but they're trying to get backed by a major company, but nobody wants to get involved with like sex work or like back a sex company. But OnlyFans
But people
said
back Nike.
we won't do pornography, but you can still post nude stuff. Like, what does that mean?
Wait,
Is
did
that
you
the
see
same
their
thing?
tweet though? The
No.
tweet from the is this real? I mean, I think this is their OnlyFans account. Dear sex workers, the
Dear-
OnlyFans community would not be what it is today without you. A policy change was necessary to secure banking and payment
The most
services.
PR thing of all time.
The hashtag is sex work is work.
Wow.
We value you, but you can't work here anymore.
Do you
Dear
unemployment?
sex workers.
Dear sex workers.
So it's still there. They're just saying.
But that's what I'm saying. They said you can
can't
do
sex on
nudity.
it.
But, like, what does that mean? Like, just no videos? So they said
I
you can still do
guess.
videos.
I don't know.
Is it just going to be like you can't
I
do,
don't
like,
know what the
weird
cutoff
stuff?
It's like
Yes,
14-year-old
yeah.
Snapchat.
Yeah, whoa.
No, no.
This is live, Jack.
Just the news.
This is live.
No.
What is happening to
Not
the
at
show?
Sea Island. No. Like, it's just nudes.
Jesus.
Calm down.
Reverse, Jack. Get out of here.
God, no.
Start running.
Did I just lose my political career?
Backpedal
We
faster
just
than
lost our
Stingley.
YouTube channel.
I mean,
We might
I know, right?
the 14-year-olds on Snapchat.
powered down, bro.
Except they're like a comma.
OnlyFans says on Thursday, OnlyFans announced plans to ban sexually explicit content. I mean,
Well, that's
But
everything.
they said they could do nudity still.
this is
So-
starting October 1st.
Okay.
It's just
Do not upload, post, display, or publish content on OnlyFans that shows, promote, advertises, or refers to sexually explicit conduct,
So it's just Instagram.
which means
Yeah.
actual or simulated sexual intercourse, including
Simulated?
genitalia.
Mm.
Sex and masturbation
What?
aren't allowed. That's what it says, whether simulated or real.
Any
what's
exhibition.
simulated?
That's all you can't do. That's it.
So it's
Well,
not
there's no
OnlyFans,
live
now it's
sex.
Instagram. Now it's Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're paying
Yeah.
for Instagram.
Yeah, pretty
Oh,
much.
well, would never.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Pretty much. Heroes of the weekend. Who you got?
OnlyFans.
I mean, yeah,
Well, they're
kind
the
of.
villain.
Anti-hero of the
Yeah,
They're the
weekend.
villain of the week.
Yeah, right.
Mine's
Um,
Cabrera for the 500 home runs.
He's been in
Join the
baseball
500
for a
home run
long
club.
time.
18 years.
One World Series.
He's
Really?
the 28th member of
Appearance?
the club.
When?
Yeah,
2003?
I know.
Oh, wait.
2013
I-
appearance.
I was about to say the
13.
Tigers. I forgot
Yeah.
he's with the Tigers.
Yeah.
Great career that's been almost not talked about enough.
19
I agree.
seasons.
What do you mean? No, and they went to World Series in 2006, the Tigers.
I know, but I'm saying like
And 13, so
he
3
should be more.
appearances.
He's a.
First
I
ballot
feel-
Hall of Famer.
I feel like it's rare to be a
Yes.
first ballot Hall of Famer in Major League Baseball, and he absolutely is one.
I believe. I mean, now the writers are weird in baseball where they don't put in first ballot guys, but Miggy feels like a first ballot.
Yeah.
But 100%.
I mean,
we were
Have you
saying-
heard some of the interviews with like that they did with Miggy and Levitard?
Yes.
And how he would just go out and like
Yeah.
would not sleep and come back and
Yeah.
go 3 for 5. They're
No
like,
doubt.
this is unbelievable.
This guy's
This
a
guy
freak.
is just a stud.
This guy's a freak.
Let's go out again.
But that's what happens when you get to the league at 20.
Yeah, I'm going out.
I mean, right? I mean, like
Win a World Series of 20.
think about that. Think if you were a like bona fide professional athlete at 20 years old, just the stamina.
I mean, I would go out.
mean, all
100%. What,
Every night.
1 p.m. That's
Every
it.
single night.
The
What time's
Bruins.
first pitch tomorrow?
1 p.m. No
What are you-
BP.
are you kidding me?
Give me a Adderall and I'll be good to go, cuz.
The Bruins traded Tyler Seguin. He won the Stanley Cup when he was 18, and he just went way too hard party, and then they traded him. He's like one of the best players in the NHL now.
Hey man, you knew that when you drafted me.
Is that trade worthy? You'd
What?
have to be bad. Like,
Oh, he was hitting the town.
yeah, like I can go out.
What
If I-
town?
Boston.
Golly,
I
man.
feel like that's safe
I mean,
there.
that's safe. I mean, it depends on what market. I mean, if it's like a smaller market and you're just kind of like running
Charlotte.
through the place, yeah. Like
Right,
I mean,
everybody knows
New
you.
Orleans, Charlotte, like yes, like come
You're-
in,
you're
sit down.
causing
Look,
divorces.
I mean, we're not only are we getting calls from ticket buyers, we're getting calls from advertisers, we're getting calls from local
Workers.
companies. How are you doing this?
Which can you stop?
I mean, you're the Tasmanian devil of Charlotte.
Ruin relationships.
You're Lane Kiffin of Tuscaloosa.
Get out of here.
Yes, you've got to leave.
So you know we have to trade you, right?
Right. You know what this is about.
Go
right?
ruin some other city.
You know what this is about.
It's in
We're sending you to
Dallas now.
Chicago.
Here's a new phone.
You'll need it.
Change your number.
And here's your second phone.
Yes.
My hero of the weekend. I saw that you had Zach Wilson. Do you have Zach Wilson?
I had Zach
Okay,
Wilson.
all right. So you can stick with Wilson. Wilson is great. I'm going to go with the Nolas for the first time.
Fine.
Okay, all right.
Good.
For the first time in their Major League Baseball life, Aaron and Austin squared off against one another. The Baton Rouge natives, the Catholic High grads, the LSU alums squared off in San Diego with Aaron, the starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, and of course Austin, who got to start at catcher for the San Diego Padres on Saturday night, squared off for the first time versus one another as big leaguers. Check this out. Nola's been in the league now for 6 seasons. His fastest pitches he's thrown as a pro. The 2 hardest pitches he has thrown as a big leaguer came against his brother
What did
on
he hit?
Saturday
On
night.
101?
No, not
96?
96 miles an hour on a swinging strikeout. And the pitch before that, he threw a 95 mile an hour strike, which just goes into more respect for Aaron Nola. I mean, he's not one of these like gas throwing,
He's got jump.
heavy armed guy. He had a perfect game going through 6 2/3 on Saturday night versus San Diego.
It's hard to do.
Gets touched up in the 9th for a 2-run home run, which ended up tying the game up versus San Diego. He gets yanked. Next pitch, guy comes in, or a couple of pitches later, the reliever comes in, skips one in front of the plate to the catcher. It gets behind them. Philadelphia loses, and Nola gets a no decision in a game, which he had a no-hitter and a perfect game rolling through nearly 7 innings. But shout out to the Nolas. That had to be an incredible day for Nolas, for the Nola family, to watch both Aaron and Austin square off against one another in a Major League Baseball game.
You mentioned, I said that was my hero of the week. My real hero of the week was the dad. Did you see him in the stands? He's got on the Phillies button-up jersey unbuttoned, and underneath that, he has on the San Diego Padres jersey of both sons,
Right.
and he just looks post-coital. He couldn't be more proud, doesn't matter what happens.
Sure.
He is just there going, I can't believe both of my sons are playing Major League Baseball. Made me feel like a real piece of shit, because I'm sure like that's every dad's dream, I would imagine, to be
Wow,
like,
look at that.
look how happy he is.
He
The
is
guy's chained in the back.
sweet.
Yeah.
I know. It's
I think that's a woman.
That-
No, it's a man.
That's not a woman. That's not a woman. I was like,
I mean, the
God.
breast.
I know. Who is
a Matt
that? What
Bumgarner's
is that
wife.
about?
He wore that chain out. He left his house with his wife and
looked
said,
in
I'm
the
going
mirror.
to the game.
Gotta
Yes.
hurt.
Yes.
It's huge.
Jack, who you got?
Zach Wilson, baby. It's, 9 for 11, 128 yards. Jets win. But the best part of it is he's bringing me back to the NFL.
He's great.
He's going to rock it.
Like
Aaron Rodgers said it,
Aaron
too.
Rodgers
That's a
commented after the
compliment.
game and said, "The dude can spin it, man."
Is that a little gamesmanship by Aaron Rodgers to be like, yeah, y'all go ahead and believe in him? Like that seems like a Rodgers move.
It's better than Jordan Love.
I don't think. I mean, what's Rodgers have against the New York Jets? What's he got
He
against
just likes
Zach
to pick and
Wilson?
prod people
He
because he
does,
knows his word means
but
a
I
lot.
think he also
Jets, though.
understands that. Look, man. I mean, I'm way past this in my football life. If I can recognize young talent and give a compliment and move on, I can do that. I mean, I think that had to mean a ton to Zach Wilson.
Oh, without a doubt. No compliments for Jordan Love, though.
Exactly. Who?
Jordan Love can't throw it like Zach
That's
Wilson.
what he said. Like, that's what I'm saying. Was Aaron Rodgers like, that's what a first-round pick looks like?
Yeah, I think.
Probably so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, more of a shot towards Green Bay.
I think you'd say,
Now I'll buy into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd mentor Wilson. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah. I would get if you would have drafted him. But I don't know who this guy is that y'all brought in.
But this rookie class looks.
Justin Fields looks
Strong.
awesome.
Justin
Wilson.
Fields, he
Mac
got
Jones.
roughed up a little bit.
Touched up.
He got
CTE.
roughed up a little bit. Trey Lance made a throw over the middle. That was big time.
Is Trey Lance just going to do that every preseason game? Just one throw, everybody's like, oh my God, I see
I
why they
think so.
drafted him, and then go 8 for
I
85
think so.
for 15 yards. You're like, oh, well, but
I
that
think
throw.
so.
Yeah.
Anybody else Hero of the week? Who you got?
No, that was it.
Katie,
We
anybody?
did it all.
Giannis. I got Giannis behind the Brewers.
Yeah, Giannis buying into the Brewers. How about Garrett Nussmeier? another weekend for little Nussy.
Is he going to the bars after these games?
Yeah, Jack.
No, they're not allowed to.
Okay, that sounds like a yes.
No.
I threw for 300 yards in a scrimmage. I'm going out 100%.
The second time?
Yes.
I mean, the second
is
time
now.
I've thrown for 300 in 2 weeks.
Y'all
I'm
know.
going out.
I'm going out.
No,
Wasn't a
they
mistake.
can't.
Wasn't lucky.
Right.
No, after last year.
Defense is a little shaky.
I don't know what Max is doing, but I got it.
I don't know, man.
He's good. This is a big deal for Walker.
I think so.
Looks like an instantly
Because
play.
I feel like not only me, but like kind of all of us were like, Walker's going to come in, sit a year behind Max, and start right after that. And now it looks like Nussmeier ain't leaving.
No, I don't think that he's leaving at all. I mean, it just doesn't feel like his personality.
Dude, after the Miles video, I'm like, what's your thoughts when Miles broke his arms? Like, it doesn't affect me.
I mean,
Just like, shit. Tommy Karam didn't get him yet. Don't say that.
just he's impressive, man. So
Wait, another hero of the week, now that I think about it. Allie Gay, Max Johnson video. I mean, pump it into me.
Yeah.
Love it. Right in my veins.
that was good.
Little shades of Joe Burrow, Mike Divinity. And it just seems like, even with the Devontae Lee catch, it feels like all of this is coming back to where there's a lot of energy around the program. So that made me very excited.
All right, enjoy your Monday out there. We're brought to you by Nevadis. Remember, Nevadis can help you out with your web design or your mobile web design. Get in touch with Nevadis, Randall Knockman and his crew. Our website, we are so pleased with JordyCulottaShow.com. If you have not checked it out, check it out. And if you are in the market for a website, they can make yours look and feel just as comfortable and easy to navigate as we feel like Nevadis has done for us over at JordyCulottaShow.com. Get in touch with Randall Knockman and the crew over there. Enjoy your Monday. We're back with you tomorrow. Go Chevrolet. Driving us into Tuesday. Frank Wilson will be here at 7:30 talking about McNeese football getting ready for another season. And we will obviously continue to get ready for college football season. We will start to preview UCLA. We'll tell you a little bit more about the Bruins coming up over the next couple of days, and obviously be reacting to the Saints preseason game tonight versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Enjoy this Monday. We're back with you tomorrow.
Under.
What's the line for UCLA?
3.5.
LSU, UCLA?
No, Hawaii.
Oh, 17. We're still on.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
17. I think that,
Hawaii's getting 17, I hope.
yes. Huh. I don't know. I don't think I'll bet it. I will watch it, though. Bye.